Can we be honest? So you're saying the majority of women will not really know pleasure and whatnot, but aren't you under the impression in the modern world and the modern culture and writings and texts and books that women have never been as emancipated ever in their sexuality since the beginning of forever? Isn't this the impression that you receive? Yes. So it's like there's like some kind of double speak. There's like something being said, but there's something else being lived. And I'm not sure if that's exactly what a double speak is, but it sounds like that's what it is. And it's like, and if you want to bring the underlying non-spoken reality to the surface, there's a clash. Because apparently, women have never enjoyed sex and never been as free and as empowered as they are today. So how can then we have a conversation saying that women don't like sex and are not enjoying sex, or enjoying sex less and less, that they're not finding intimate partners, that the hookups, we live in hookup cultures, and people are generally on drugs or alcohol, and sex sucks, and people don't enjoy it, and there's no intimacy? How does that underlying reality, which is statistically measured, match with the narrative that social media and modern day culture wants to sell you? So there's like a conflict. So at the base, there's a constriction in the woman, a sexual constriction. Yet she portrays and plays a role that she's to a certain degree believing herself that she is sexually emancipated. She is a sexual queen, a sexual goddess. There has never been before, today, or after something as great as her. Now, what kind of split is that? How do you live with such a split? And more importantly, how is it that you are going to actually discover sexuality if you're allowed now having to play that character? And if you let go of the character, what do you discover? Disease. It's a mess. That's just, you have to now go through that if you want to reclaim your sexuality and discover your sexuality, which is intimately connected with your health. Right? So how do we even have how do we have a conversation when it's like there's a storyline that's created that prevents a conversation? So all the modern day women today who are all empowered, amazing, look fabulous, have their Instagram channel, dress amazingly, have amazing hair, have amazing faces, have amazing skin, have amazing asses, have amazing clothes, have amazing careers, have amazing boyfriends or no boyfriend because they don't want them, have amazing light life, have amazing networks. How does such an amazing person ever come and tell you, I hate my existence, I'm always depressed, I cannot have sex, or I can't stand sex, or sex sucks? How does that work? That'll fucking fuck up the brand. Listen, in this day and age, brand is number one. So now your brand is over. What? You have all this, and you mean to say that you're unhappy in bed? No, you're the most amazing woman in the world. You have the top amazing men. They're all at your feet. They're begging for your attention. Isn't that the modern day sexuality of women? They have a bunch of idiots running and chasing them, wanting, can I be the next person to worship you? That's modern day sexual relations. I think it could be summarized to this. And if they get out of this little virtual world and they actually meet, if it's going to be awkward, it's going to be weird as fuck, and you know you're going to have to wind it up to get a little bit of circulation, and even then, it's still going to suck. Because it's a hookup. You don't know the person. There's no intimacy. You don't know how to dance. It takes time to learn how to dance. It takes time to learn how to relax with one another. You have to get to know a person. And knowing a person, let's pretend that a person is infinitely grand. So how do you get to know a person who's infinitely big in fucking literally 18 minutes? Impossible. It takes like cycles of getting to know one another and going through a process with one another and all kinds of dynamics with one another, and you get to know a person. You don't have time for this. So how the fuck do you get to intimacy if that's necessary for intimacy? You have to actually know the person. And how the fuck do you get to know a person If the person doesn't know themselves and doesn't want to know themselves, so that's impossible. So which means intimacy is impossible. So if intimacy is possible, then what's sex? Well, sex is certainly not intimate. So if sex is not intimate, then what the fuck is it? It's two characters banging into one another. That's what it is. And that can only suck. I've lived it myself, and everybody here, or mostly everybody here, has lived a form of, it sucks, it's empty, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. You feel like shit, you're like a thief. You know it, I know it. And then you want to act like it's cool, and then you put a music that makes you feel empowered. It's full of shit, it's rubbish, it's crap, it's disgusting. So explain to me how this works. Listen, with all due respect, you know, you see this super amazing woman on her Instagram thing, right? She's just going for it. And I sit down, I'm like, what kind of man would want to be with such a girl? I'll take me as an example, right? Now, I know that I'm an unusual character. Well, there's no room. There's no space in this creature's existence for me in any way, shape, or form. It's all her. Me. There's no room besides her. So anything that's going to enter into her world is just to feed her. And what is this? Is this really her? Or is this just a fabricated construct? So the only people that can actually be in relation to her are people who are going to go and worship her and feed that fucking entity. Well, that's not intimacy. That's certainly not love. And how could underneath that facade there's an actual human being. Intimacy is the connection to the actual human being. She's not interested in the human being. She's interested in the facade, and idiots nourishing the facade. So that's not intimacy. And so what kind of sexuality are you going to have? That's why you need the booze. That's going to create some kind of relaxation, which is going to get some kind of the juices flowing, and you're not going to be yourself, and something's going to take over you, and you're going to do something, and then you're going to forget the next day. That's it. Now, you tell me that that's not modern sexuality and modern relations. Get the fuck out of here. Now, this is shit between me and you. It's boring. I'm not here to judge. I don't care. I've done it. It's boring. It's fucking boring. It's empty. It's like eating shit food. What a waste. I fill my stomach. I have no satisfaction. I'm going to be constipated tomorrow, or my stool's going to be slowed down, and it's going to be sticky and icky. Yuck. Why? What the fuck was that for? Nothing. What a waste of time. Next time, I ain't doing that because it's more of a headache than anything else. This is the modern day, and these are, I'm like generalizing, but very well. So guess what? You want something else, you're going to have to let go of something. And people are fucking scared shitless to let go of the facades. They've invested so much in the facade, they are the facade as far as they're concerned. They need to feed the facade. Now that's the key. They need to feed the facade. So they're going to get a bunch of morons who want to feed the facade, and if they do meet a guy and she's going to hook up with that dude, it's to take his energy so that she can sustain and push the facade a little further. What I used to call in my previous videos, sponsor your lifestyle. Now you tell me how you can have a sense of fulfillment in such a relationship. It's impossible. So that's why people are unhappy, and that's why people are unhappy in relationship, and the experiences of these two characters meeting is disgusting. It's painful because you're lying to yourself. Everybody's lying. It's frictional. It's full of friction. It's gonna hurt. I don't know how it's gonna slide in anyways. It's how could you get lubed up? This is a stranger. I have to be naked with this dude? Yuck! Then I'm gonna smell him, and I don't even know your fucking name, and then your sweat with everything that you are that comes out of your pores is gonna like touch my skin. Yuck! I feel the same about bitches between me and you. I'm like, yuck, just give me soap. Just like clean that shit off. Like, this is disgusting. I don't want you and me. I don't want you to get go over there with your toxic mind and the stench of it. Get the fuck out of here. It's disgusting. Anyways, I digress from I don't know where, but one thing is for sure, it was palpitating. Yeah, so in my opinion, your average woman is going to have a hard time to discover the potential of her sexuality, really, outside of the frictional world. And even then, because sexuality requires a space of discovery, of intimacy, that means you can relax. And these are harder and harder to come by. And intimacy for me, in my world, it means you dive into what is and what you are. It's not, I'm fat, I'm comfortable, and he likes me being fat. No, that's not intimacy. No, it's getting to know yourself at a deeper level in the presence of another person who's witnessing this. That's work. That's not easy. So without that, I don't know what kind of sexuality you're expecting to have. Because sexuality is relaxation. It's the circulation of your life force, enhanced or heightened by the sexuality circulating in another person. So that's literally what it is. So if you can't relax, then how the fuck are you going to have a deep sexual interaction? It's impossible. And when we say relaxation, it's not I just drink wine. That's not relaxation. That's shallow relaxation. It's induced relaxation. I have nothing against it. I'm just saying it's what it is. It's induced relaxation. You need a substance that relaxes just a little bit of you at the surface. Relaxation means what's troubling you, what preoccupies you, what creates tension in your psyche, dissolves. That means there's a form of integration inside your system. Otherwise, the defense mechanisms are there, and defense mechanism is equal to tension. And then tension means it blocks the circulation of energy. So when the energy cannot circulate, you feel kind of dead. So you want to feel a circulation. So what you're going to do? By using substances that stimulate, irritate the nervous system, which force the circulation. And therefore, today's sexuality is mostly based on violence because it creates fear. And fear forces a form of circulation. So then you have the impression of having a sexual experience, but it's fear-based. It's friction-based. So I'm not saying that the friction isn't creating a form of circulation. It certainly is. But it's based on, it's constricted. And now you force pass emotion. And it has to irritate the system, exhausting you in the end, but there is no intimacy because you're never relaxed. So the experience is extremely shallow. It's the equivalent of jacking off. You rub the system, you create friction until the biology responds to protect itself by spitting out the liquids to stop the experience. You understand what I'm trying to say? Come on. You understand? So how now women want to say, I want to have this sexual liberation. Well, I want you to be sexually liberated, but you got to fucking study the game if you want to discover what sexual liberation really means. If you want to really find emancipation, shouldn't you learn what is emancipation? What does it imply? How does one achieve that? Or is it just whatever TV sells you because you're a moron? And then when you follow the recipe TV tells you, Sex and the City, isn't that what it's called? Maybe some new people don't know this. That's the recipe of being a slut. You follow the recipe. Great, it's great. The TV makes it look like it's a cool lifestyle. I agree, I understand. But then when you do that, how do you feel? Like shit. What does that say? It's a lie. It's a sham. So that's not sexual emancipation. So shouldn't you stop and ask yourself questions? Well, what the fuck is going on and how does it actually work? Well, I'm telling you, free of charge, and it's easy to understand. Sexuality means the circulation of your own energy. And energy can only circulate when there's relaxation. A genuine circulation, not irritation, not like coffee. You force energy to circulate by stimulating. No, I'm talking about relaxation. And in order to relax, it means the defense mechanism have to go down. So one has to understand what is a defense mechanism. Defense mechanisms are established to protect yourself from yourself, quote unquote. That means there's division inside of you. This part and this part cannot come together. So we have to shelter this one and shelter that one and create some kind of like intermediary fake person that you interact with. Because if this one appears, it shatters your brand. If this one appears, it shatters your brand. If this deeper experience or deeper sensation or deeper reality of you emerges, it threatens you, so to speak. So you can't relax, because if you relax, the truth comes to the surface. So you always have to spend all your life repressing the truth. And how do you do that? With tension. Tension is literally in the body and in the psyche. So how are you going to have intimacy if we've defined intimacy as the art of relaxation? And relaxation means integration. That means you're not split in 1,000 pieces. The pieces come together, which means there's no defense mechanism necessary. There's no tension, which means circulation now can happen. And then once your energy circuit starts to happen and you bring another person, it heightens. I didn't say it stimulates, I said it heightens. You're already there when you bring two. When two or more gather in my name, there I am amongst themselves. I'm pretty sure he's not talking about pussy and cock, but we can use it there. It just increases. Not because of friction. Whereas nowadays, you're tense. That person's tense and the tension meet. Your response is push, I'm scared, it's a threat to me. That person is a threat to me. I'm afraid. All that violence, like tension is violence. Well, it's not violence, it's a protection from the violence that's underneath. A split inside of you. This is not acceptable. This is bad. Isn't that the definition of violence? So you meet a person with a facade, smiling at your ass, but underneath, they despise themselves and they're trying to present it. So they're full of violence. And all of that is like a volcano brewing. And same as you. And you have all that violence that comes and wants to have sex. What do you think is going to happen? Now, what kind of experience do you think you're going to have? A pleasurable one? Get the fuck out of here. Impossible. You're not. Of course, that's not what mainstream is going to tell you, but that's what the statistics are going to tell you. People are not enjoying their hookups, and most sexual relationships today are hookups, and if they're not hookups and people get together, they don't have fucking sex. Because they can't stand each other and they become like teddy bears to one another. Ain't that the truth? So they don't have sex and they fantasize about sex in their brains. Then they cheat on their so-called husband or wives or boyfriend and girlfriend so that they can have some kind of experience. And what's the cheating about? Facade meets facade, tension meets tension, unconscious meets unconscious, or sort of kind of friction. Add a little bit of alcohol into this and it creates some kind of experience that you find interesting or not so interesting. But at the end of the day, it hurts you. And that's why you want to go away from it. And then what are you left? Stuck at home in your little fucking box with your Netflix or whatever it is that you consume, your stupid ass cats, and your frozen food. Do people eat frozen foods? I guess so. I have somebody make food for me. Shout out to that person. Every day. So, I don't know, but I think there's a sham and there's a lie, and I think the modern culture promotes that lie. And it shows you icons that look like they're sexually liberated and emancipated. Every fucking gesture they do is like the symbol of their sexual emancipation and orgasmic, endless, infinite pleasure. They are like a walking orgasm. Their asses are always wiggly. It's like they're always wet. They're always just like in joy and in bliss and in always coming, technically, at the end of the day. These are the role models you bitches are consuming on a daily basis. And it's a goddamn fucking lie. These girls are probably frigid as fuck. And I'm trying to be honest with you. I don't know how you can be in a relationship with such a woman. That there's no room in her life. There's only room for her constructed, made-up personality. There's no room for a cock. Dick takes place, man. Ain't got no room in this. There's no room in this person. She's full of herself. That's literally the expression. You're full of yourself. What does that mean? There's no room for anything else. Well, how am I supposed to interact with a person if there's no room in her life for anything else besides her constructed personality that is expanding in proportion to her gas inside herself, her fermentation? Because we know fermentation generates gas, don't we? CO2. It's bad for the ozone. It's bad for the temperature. What do they call that expression? Global warming. You know, you want to solve global warming? Remove gas from people. Anyways, all this to say, I think this is a load of shit. And if people just for 2 seconds withdrew from this nonsense and thought a little clearly and listened to common sense, you notice everybody knows what the fuck I'm saying. Everybody does, because it's the truth. It's honest. It's simple. It's basic. Everybody knows. I don't know this person. It's weird. I'm not comfortable with myself. How the hell am I supposed to be comfortable with you? Impossible. I need to consume something that gives me the impression that I'm comfortable with myself, which in reality, you know what it did? It just disconnected me from my own discomfort and took me into my little bubble. So I'm not even there with you. I'm using you as a tool to masturbate with. I have no problem against this. Don't take this as a criticism. All I'm trying to say is it's impossible that such experiences satisfy a man or a woman. This is my take on it. I dare you to disagree.